Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Today's class can really be enjoyed by anyone. It's very brief, but it is especially beneficial for those who are looking to work on their posture and for those who are suffering from low bone density, so osteopenia or osteoporosis. If you've been given the okay to exercise in general, you're not at, you can be at a bit of, anyway, I won't go into that. But I've chosen ones that are, evidence-based as far as showing a relation with reduced incidence of fractures, compression fractures in the spine, and any sort of weight bearing that we do through the through the long bones has shown to be helpful in reducing fracture risk and maybe even potentially improving bone mass. So weight bearing through the hands, the arms, push-ups, working on all fours, walking, hiking, especially inclines like up and down, where you really demand a lot of the muscles. So that's great for the hips and stuff. But these ones in particular for the spine and to keep the core strong, that's what we're going to grab today. So we're going to warm up on our back, actually. So, and I have the mini ball only because I know some of you do, and you might want to use it underneath your pelvis when we do the deeper core stuff, but you also don't need it. So it's there as an optional. If you have some low bone density, if you're choosing this video for that reason, then come down on your side in a nice neutral spine and then roll onto the back to avoid coming down with flexion. That's what you're avoiding, right? So come down on your side, roll on your back, get into a nice position where you have the feet no wider than the hips. You've got the knees the same distance apart as the feet. And we're going to take a moment and just put our arms at our sides and feel where our shoulders land on the mat. So if you have a bit of rounded shoulders and neck, like head forward posture, you might find that you're sort of like this. You feel the chin is way higher than the forehead. You feel some tension in the throat. You don't feel your shoulder blades against the mat. And if that's the case, you may actually need to put, if you can't fix that, you can't think about it and make an effort to get the shoulder blades against the mat and feel that the weight of the head is on the mat in that neutral spine, you may need actually a little cushion under the head. Nothing too big that's going to lift the head like this, but just something so that when you lay down, you're able to look right at the ceiling and you don't feel that the chin is way higher than the forehead, right? So from there, after you do that little self-evaluation, I want you to take the arms and just put them out to the sides for this one. We're changing, often we do this exercise with our arms at our sides, but I want you to be open across the chest for this one. So I want you to take the arms and I want you to hover like an inch above the mat, reach the right hand out to the right side, reach the left hand out to the left, and then allow those arms to settle down towards the floor and feel that nice length across the whole chest. Good. Take a nice breath in. And on the out breath, you're lifting the pelvic floor, you're drawing in with the belly, you're squeezing the bum, and we're going to lift the pelvis. So we're going to keep our neutral spine, and we're going to lift, and we're going to lower, right? And you're only lifting a little bit, right? You're not lifting so that you feel any pressure into your chest, your throat, your neck. This is keep your neutral spine, keep that little space behind the low back and the mat, lifting up and lowering back down. Lifting up and lowering back down. So that it's really hip work. It's nice gluteal work. But it also gives you the opportunity to open across the chest and to feel that organization in the upper body. Good. And let's do 3 more, because this is often hard for us, right? The strength in those hips and the back of the pelvis to lift and lower. Last one. Hold this one up. Keep the hips nice and level, so that's no tip of the pelvis side to side. And we're going to raise the right heel and lower it down. And then do the left and lower it down. And try to imagine that you're long in your spine, so it's like you're reaching the knees beyond the toes, right? You're not putting all the force up into your chest, your throat. You should be very relaxed in the upper body and open across the chest, but hovering with the bum and feeling that, tiredness, hopefully, in the gluteal muscles, the bum muscles, the back of the hips. One more nice one with the right, one more with the left. Lower both heels, lift up a tiny bit higher, and lower the pelvis down to the mat. Gorgeous. From there, if you have your mini ball and you want to use it, then bring it in. If you don't have the mini ball, you're on your back like we just were in that lovely neutral pelvis. So you have your little space behind your low back, the hip pointers and the pubic bone are in that nice horizontal line. If you have the ball and you're used to using it, then you can put it behind the pelvis, so above the tailbone, below your spine, and really feel like you can put the weight of the pelvis on here, right? And I'm going to give some options. So we're strengthening in our deeper core here. If your hands are on the mat by your sides, then that's your most stability. If you bend the elbows, that's a little more challenging. You only have the upper arms. And if you raise the arms right off the mat, that's your most unstable position with the upper body, your most challenge. So pick, choose your level to start with. I'll go middle of the road today, but if you've been doing these type of exercises quite a bit, you can have the arms off, and if it's your first time, have them down at your sides. Take a nice breath in, and before you raise the right leg, I want you to feel the reaction in your core and your abdominals. So think of your Kegel motion, your pelvic floor lift. Think of the abdominals just drawing in slightly, not so you can't breathe, but just slightly. And then maintain that nice contraction of the muscles, that activity of the muscles as you bring right leg up to tabletop and lower it down. And switch. Left leg up to tabletop and lower it down. Each time you are pre-activating. You're being strong in the center so that as you move the leg, there's no movement through your spine, right? And you're strengthening the abdominals. This is a lovely way. If you do have low bone density, there's no movement of the spine, right? There's very little risk to this activity, and yet it gives you, it can give you a tremendous amount of abdominal strength, right? So this is our basic level. If you're ready to move beyond this, then hold the right leg up, and on your out breath, this is important, this is your critical moment, really stabilize. So draw in with the belly, lift the pelvic floor, make sure the spine doesn't move and the pelvis doesn't move as you bring the left leg up. So both legs are in tabletop, and then lower that left one back down. And if you're ready to work on that level, then you can do a little repeater here. You can do 5 on the left and then 5 on the right, or you could alternate, right? But you want to make sure that there's no micro movements on that ball, if that's what you're working on. Or if you're not on the ball and you're just on the mat, that's great. You're feeling that pelvis stay really nice and still, right? If you put a hand on the abdominals, I'm going to switch sides here because that's my number 5 with the left leg. So now I'm going to lower the right and pick it back up. That one's a little shakier. I got to concentrate a little more on that side. Lower it down with control. Let it be on the mat and then engage. So stabilize, bring it up. And lower it back down. If you put a hand on your low belly, you should feel when you're about to lift the leg, the abdominals draw back towards the spine. They don't bulge up towards the ceiling. That'll help to tell you that you're doing the exercise with good form. And I think this is my last one on the right. That 5 on each side. If you're doing this level, good. And take a nice breath in and just hold it here in tabletop, or if you weren't ready to do this, holding here with the heels on the feet on the mat, but imagining that your feet are getting light. Like you're going to hover the feet, but you of course aren't. But you're putting less weight in the feet, and you should feel a reaction in the abdominals. And just 2 nice breaths there. And relax. Good. We're gonna do one more nice one in this same sort of series. It's gonna be another repeater. So we did the left leg if you were doing a low repeater. You can bring the left leg up to tabletop, and you have your options here too, right? Same thing with the arms to make it harder or easier. I'm gonna put my hands at my sides here. Actually, no, I'm gonna put them on my hips. That's another option if you wanna feel where the pelvis is. But your right leg can be on the mat, and I recommend that definitely if you're not used to being on the ball, because that's gonna be our movement. Or if you're used to doing this, you can have both legs in tabletop and be straightening the right leg and bringing it back in. That's your harder version, right? But this is a basic level class. I'm going to keep my right leg on the mat. So on your exhale, straightening that leg, lowering it down what you control. And as you lower it, there's no movement in the spine, no movement on the ball. The abdominals are drawn in, and bring it back in. And again, we're going to do 5 like this. I use the exhale on the lowering because that's usually when people have a movement in the pelvis. If they're going to let the spine and pelvis move, it's on that lowering aspect. That tends to be the hardest one for us. Good. Bring that one up to tabletop. Lower that leg down. Make sure you're still in your neutral pelvis. Make sure you're centered if you're using the ball. And bring right leg up to tabletop. On your exhale, straightening it out on a bit of an angle, and then just lowering what you can control as you draw the abdominals in and bring it back in. And reach it long, lower, bring it back in. Reach it long and lower, bring it back in. We got 2 more. 5 on this side as well. And this should be comfortable. You should have no back pain when you're doing this. You know, you're working a little bit in the front of the hips hard, but also the abdominals. But that should be like a muscular, rather than a true discomfort or pain. Lower the legs. Lift off the ball if you were on the ball. If it feels right, you can bring one knee at a time towards the chest, just for a little bit of a length where you just worked. And then we're going to come to do our true postural work. We're on our belly on the mat. So just have a nice roll over. I'm going to face the other way so I don't show you my mic box. And this is your real winner. This is the series you want to do if you do have some low bone density or if you're particularly wanting to improve your posture. So the legs are going to be relaxed on the mat for this whole series. We're going to do upper body work. So they can be straight and the feet can be together if that's comfortable. Or you can move the feet apart a little bit and turn the toes out if that's more comfortable for the hips. So you can pick that variation if you wish. Take a nice breath in. And before you do anything, I just want you to feel that on your out breath, you really draw the tummy back towards the spine. So try to draw the lower belly away from the mat. It's not going to come away from the mat, obviously, unless you're very, very thin. Breath in to relax. Exhale to draw the tummy in. And that helps to stabilize and prevent the movement from occurring at your low back and helps you to target where you want to, which is in between the shoulder blades and a little bit below that, where your mid-back. We want to strengthen and lengthen there. So take a nice breath in this time. On your out breath, draw the tummy in. Keep that support in the abdominals, and then lift away with the face and the throat and the breastbone, but keep your eyes down, right? You're trying to be long out of the top of your head, like someone's pulling, has a string at the top of the head, they're pulling it towards the front of the mat or the front of the room if you're facing, and then lower it down. Exhale to come up, draw in with the belly before you lift the face, the throat, the breastbone, and lower it down. And you can repeat this at your own pace. So really, if you're new to it, you really want to make sure that you're strong in the abdominals to support what the low back's doing. You can have some weight in the arms, but you're not pushing up with the arms. And this is your first level. And if this gets easy, not easy, but if you don't feel that it's a challenge, leave the forehead and the hands connected. And as you exhale, you're going to float the arms as well off the mat and lower back down. Exhale to raise off, and inhale to lower back down. And just make sure that's quite a jump to go from leaving the hands on the mat to the next level where you're raising the arms with you. You probably won't come as high if you're raising the arms. That's okay. That's not our goal. Our goal is to lengthen and get tall out of the top of the head, to remain nice and still in the low back, to remain comfortable there, excuse me, and to feel this as work between our shoulder blades and along the length of our spine in those, what we call extensor muscles. Good. Hold this one up. Good. And bring the arms, if you can, out to the sides and really reach them right out to the sides in a big T position. The palms are on the mat though. You're putting some force through the arms so that it's not all your back muscles at the moment. You're drawn in with the abdominals. And if you get any low back pain, you can lower down and come back to it because this is a bit of endurance, right? But you're going to take a nice breath in. And on your out breath, I want you to pick up your right arm just to hover a couple inches off the floor and put it back down. And then pick up the left and put it back down. If it's too much with the long arm, like with the elbows straight, you could bend the elbows and practice just picking up a bent arm and lowering it down and picking up a bent arm and lowering it down. If you can do the bigger T, then it's more challenging. Right? It really asks you to work in those muscles between the shoulder blades, along the length of the spine. And what you're looking for here, just alternate at your own pace and take a break if you have any discomfort. You're looking to keep the throat, the breastbone at the same height from the mat. So as you raise the arm, you don't want to drop in the head or have the face rush towards the mat, right? You want to maintain the same height with the spine and alternate. So no matter what you're doing with the arms, the center of you is nice and still. Same principle as when we're on our back, working our abs. Let's do one more with the right. One more with the left. Good. Take a nice breath in. Bring the hands back underneath the face. You're not down yet though. Take a nice breath in, and if you can, if you're comfortable, tuck the tailbone down a little bit towards the mat. Try to feel like you draw the abs away from the mat a little bit, and then I want you to press into your hands, and you can lift up a little bit more with the face, with the throat, with the breastbone, just to come into this gentle extension. And I want you to pull your, grip the mat with your hands and your forearms, and it's like you're trying to drag your breastbone forward, up towards your hands. So you get this nice extension where we're often stiff in the mid-back. Take a nice breath in. And then peel it down. Take the hands underneath the shoulders and draw in with the belly and try to keep a nice neutral spine as you press up to be on hands and knees. We're going to rock back just for a second to bring the hips back towards the heels, to just lengthen where you were working. And you can hold the hands here. You can rest the head on the hands. You can, if you're used to our videos, you can go into what we call the shell stretch, where you put the hands back by the feet. But this workout, quick though it might be, would not be complete without a little bit of upper body weight bearing, right? If you're concerned about bone density. So if you're not used to doing any sort of push-ups, then just come and be on your hands and get used to weight bearing through them, right? Practice weight bearing through the hands. See if you can lift one hand and have the other hand support you. That's some good work, right? Especially if you're not used to it, that could be enough, right? If you're able to, we're going to do a push-up, and you can be with the knees under the hips, right? So that as you bend the elbows and straighten them, and it doesn't have to be very far, you are, you still have a lot of weight, supported by your legs, right? So this is where you could start to practice that push-up, is just to be here. Or if you're used to doing some push-ups or these sort of videos with us, then you can move into more of a modified plank, right? Where the shoulders, the hips, and the knees are all in a relatively straight line. All right, draw in with the belly, and then you can do your push-ups here. I'm going to assume you don't do a lot of push-ups. I'm going to have my knees just a little bit behind my hips. Right? And this is good weight bearing through the wrists. It might not be comfortable. There might be old injuries that keep you from doing this, but if at all you can do it, if you have to add a little extra cushioning, a rolled up towel under the heel of the hand, you can do that. And let's just try 8 of them. So I want you to stay broad across your chest, broad between your shoulder blades. Keep the head in line with the rest of the spine. Don't forget that. And bend the elbows and straighten back up. 4, 6 more. Bend the elbows. And I'm doing a little mini one, right? You still get all the great benefit of putting weight through the arms. You don't have to do a deep push-up to get all the good things, all the good benefits out of it, right? I want you to stay strong in the abdominals and see if you can be relaxed in the neck. See if the shoulders can stay away from the ears, right? Slide those shoulder blades down your back a little bit, and you should feel this, I'm used to doing some push-ups, but even this, I'm like, yep, I'm working around my shoulder blades, around my chest, a little bit in the back of the arms, right? So, and how many have we done? We've probably done 8. Sorry. Here you go. Last one, and then rock the hips back towards the heels. Leave the arms overhead if you can, so that you get this nice stretch in the shoulders. And just take 2 nice breaths. Breathe in. And out. And then if you have some low bone density, in order to come up to kneeling or standing, help yourself with the hands. Bring them in, maintain a nice straight spine as you help yourself up instead of rounding the spine, because it's the rounding that places a lot of stress on the spine, putting us at risk of fractures. And the more you maintain that neutral, lengthened, tall, extended spine, then research has shown that that is helpful in reducing the risk of fractures. So there we go. All evidence-based. There we go. That's it. Nice quick one. Sort of targeting what you need if posture is what you're working on, and in particular, if you have, now or a family history that you're worried in the future you might have low bone density. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.